안녕하세요, and good afternoon, everyone. You need to put on your mic on. I'm not going to speak in Korean because I don't know how to speak in Korean. All right, so today we are going to take a deep look at ClearPass and how it can enhance the visibility of security. So first of all, I know we have a wide audience, right? So I need to get an understanding how much you know about ClearPass. So if you have heard about ClearPass and are currently using ClearPass, can you put up your hand? Not a lot? Okay, a few of you, okay. Now show me your hand if you are currently doing some kind of integration on other vendors through ClearPass Exchange. Anyone? No. Okay, good. Then you are learning something new today. Very good. Okay, so let me start off quickly going through the agenda. So first, I want to quickly step through in 3 slides, a quick summary of what ClearPass does. So get an overview what this solution can actually help you. And then I want to tell you what ClearPass Exchange is. Okay? Then we'll take a look at some of the scenarios that ClearPass Exchange can do. And then we'll give you explicit example how you can use ClearPass Exchange in the enterprise environment. And then we'll take a look at how you can make these settings in ClearPass itself. And last but not least, I want to offer more information, how you can get more information from the website. So let's get started. So what is ClearPass? ClearPass, in a nutshell, is secure access management system. And when I was talking to people the first time, it's hard for them to understand what ClearPass do. So I always make an analogy between the network security and the physical security. So everyone understand what access badge is, right? So when you go to the office, you enter the office, you put this against the reader, and this is called authorization, identifying yourself. So imagine all these mobile network devices that we have are people. And when they enter the network, I like entering the building. I need to understand whether I should let you in or I should not let you in. And that's what we call authentication. So with this, we allowed you in if you have one of these cards that belongs to us. Now, once you're in the building or in the network, how am I supposed to know where you can access? What kind of information on the network you can access? And that's what we call authorization. So for example, in the office, there's a server room, okay? And it sits, mission-critical servers are sitting in there. And we don't want everyone to be able to, like a marketing person or the admin person, be able to get into the server room. So we want to make sure we only authorize certain people that can access the server room if they are for example, the production IT support manager. So the authentication and authorization is how we identify who can get in and what resources it can do. And that's the key functionality of ClearPass. Now, the other thing what ClearPass is trying to do is the orchestration, meaning it's like a conductor in the orchestra. They're trying to coordinate all the information that is coming in and trying to direct traffic to the right resources. So remember, in the past, in the morning, when we had the kickoff, the keynote, Steve was saying Aruba came a long way for mobility history. And we actually make the right predictions that mobility is going to explode. But one of the major concerns that people have is on security. And ClearPass is exactly the solution that we invested in the past to bring security solutions to network access management. So in a nutshell, ClearPass is secure access management. And what it does is, it is the next generation of radius servers. So at the base, it does all the AAA things like authorization, authentication, and accounting. But it also offers additional module that is solving particular problem that we see in mobility world today. For example, there's a module that is particularly tied to guest services. So example, I come to the hotel, I check into the hotel, the first thing I want to do is do some work on my laptop, and then I want to access the hotel Wi-Fi. And that's the guest portal we see is what we offered at ClearPass called the guest services. It can be a self-service portal accepting the terms and conditions, or you need to log in with your room number and the last name. It depends how you set it up. The ClearPass also solves another major problem that is happening with mobility today, which is BYOD, bring your own device. So remember, Oser this morning was talking about nowadays there's an explosion of devices. Everyone carry 3, 4 devices with them. But the network administrator headcount didn't expand 3, 4 times, right? There's only 3 network administrators 10 years ago. Now there's only 3 network administrators. Now, how do we go about solving problems on BYOT? When people change their phone, when they come into the network, we want to offer automation, things that employee can do self-service, so that they can provision the phone when they bring the phone in. With the right authentication, we're able to insert certification onto the devices so that the next morning the employee comes in, he doesn't need to punch in the password again. And that's what the BYOD services is doing. And last but not least, we want to offer the security health check or workflows. So we want to make sure we transform the security policies into actionable enforcement, meaning that if a device comes in, if it is not healthy, we want to quarantine it. We don't want it to be infecting other devices on the network. Just like at the airport, I have the temperature check, right? If I see this person is having a fever, he might be infected. We don't want him to come into my country, quarantine him. That's the idea. So what problem is ClearPass is addressing? First of all, we want to make sure there's a mechanism when mobility world, when all these devices are moving around in the world, we want to offer secure wire and wireless connections. We want to remove the number of SSID that is being broadcasted on access point, and we don't want you to build in intelligence, say, oh, connect to this SSID because this is a secure one, and this SSID because this is a guest one. We want to make sure you only have one ID, and we make the intelligence decision at the back. We want to offer visibility on what devices are being connected to the network, and this is what ClearPass does at the base. So we can see exactly what devices, what type of OS they are running, what versions, and when they are connecting. And we also want to reduce the help desk calls by automating the workflow and offering all the self-services that is available out there. And last but not least, we want to have the single pane of glass telling us, seeing the devices that is actually coming in, what authentication is failing, and understanding what devices are connecting at what time. Now, what is ClearPass Exchange? We just talked about an overview of ClearPass, but ClearPass actually, remember, it does an orchestration with other vendors. What does it do? The ClearPass Exchange is actually an idea that ClearPass exchange information to third-party external systems using open communication calls. We want to use the APIs that is being offered by ClearPass so that a third party can also make actions on the ClearPass box. So it's not just a one-way direction. Not a one-way communication. It's actually a bi-directional communication. I give information to other vendors, and other vendors also give information to me or make calls to me. So it's inbound and outbound communications. Now, when you look at ClearPass Exchange, it's actually an ecosystem. Ecosystem that consists of a lot of different vendors. So the keyword here is multi-vendor interoperability, meaning that I can work with multiple vendors at the same time. I don't need to talk to one. It's not a one-on-one relationship. It's a one-to-many relationship. I'm also able to offer a lot of context sharing, meaning I share information with a lot of vendors at the same time. And I do this through an open API calls or syslog calls. So in general, we can categorize all these vendors into 4 major categories. So you can think about on the top left, we have the defenses on the perimeter. So all the investment you made with the firewalls, whether it's Fortinet, Palo Alto, or Juniper Firewall Checkpoint, all those defenses, we want to exchange information with the firewall. On the right-hand side, top right, you want to make sure you can exchange information with the MDM, the mobile device management, because a lot of the enterprises right now invested in the mobile device management systems, and you can get a lot of information from the device management system because it has an agent that is sitting on the mobile device itself. And on the right-hand side, lower right, you will see that we can actually interact with a lot of the different networking vendors. So ClearPass is a vendor-neutral solution. It doesn't need to only work with Aruba networking solution or HPE networking solution. It can work with an environment of heterogeneous networking solutions, whether it's like a Juniper, Cisco, or a mix of those. And last but not least, on the lower left-hand side, the Exchange ecosystem also consists of a group of vendors that can give visibility of security information and events. We call the SIEMs, the Security Information and Event Management Systems, like, for example, Splunk, ArcSight, and RSA, etc. So if you want to understand a lot more about ClearPass Exchange, first you need to understand a concept called context sharing. Now, what is the context that's being shared? When I move around with my devices, when I try to get onto the network and authenticate myself, the network first will ask, who are you? And what are you connecting? Now, the network assumes that I don't trust anyone at this time. So you want to present yourself, oh, here's my username, my password, and I'm accessing a laptop. So quickly, through lookup into the Active Directory, ClearPass is able to understand, okay, this is Thomas, the employee coming in with this IP address. He belongs to the marketing department, and this is a company-issued laptop, which is a Mac laptop. It quickly sends all this information to the perimeter, to the firewall, updating them. Now, with this IP address, if there's traffic going outbound, the traffic belongs to Thomas' laptop running on the Mac OS. Now, why is this important? Because we want to make sure at the perimeter, we also see why the traffic as a user and not an IP address. So we actually work with Active Directory or generic LDAPs or other databases to get the context of the users. And there's no agent that we need to install for this particular service. And why is adaptive trust important? Because the more information we gathered for secure management access policy, the better policy we can enforce as the device tries to connect to the network. So here's an example, right? Person, Thomas, right, coming in with the laptop that the company has issued, is authenticate itself, connect itself to the corporate secure SSID and authenticate itself. And once the network secure access management system identifies this is the employee trying to access it, the network through the corporate, it allows it to reach resources that the employees needs to get to, whether it's the SAP systems or internal applications or it's a repository, SharePoint that is sitting on the network. However, if the employee now brings out his own phone that is not company issued, but he is connecting to the same SSID, using the same keyword, password and username, same kind of authentication, what he can get from the network access management is access to the internet only, because it knows that this is not a secure device. You can do a lot of things with the device because it's the employee-owned device. So by understanding more context of the machines that is connecting, I'm able to adapt my secure policies on the fly at the network. So same user, different mobile devices connecting to the network will offer you different access policy. And even with the same device of the same person, if location-wise he's connecting from outside the network, outside the corporate network, his access should be different too. For example, today I'm in Korea, I'm using my laptop to VPN back to my office. Now, although I'm the employee, but he knows that I'm accessing through the hotel network, VPNing back to the office. My access or security level should be lower than when I'm accessing the network within the company networking environment. So that's what we call the adaptive policy and ownership. So how does ClearPass get all the context out there? And what kind of information can it get? Now, there are different sources of usable context. The first and most basic ones are tied to the devices itself. We call the device profiling. And this is one of the unique features that is built into the ClearPass. So this ClearPass as a network device sitting on the network is always listening to all the other devices that are connecting. And it can do profile understanding what type of device it is, what OS is running, and what version of the OS is actually running on. And along, we also get information when the users authenticate through the Active Directory, understanding the information of this particular users, which department he belongs to, what is his title, and then and which location he is from. And we also try to gather more information through ClearPass Exchange, tapping into the mobile device management server. So in MDM, because there's an agent sitting on the device itself, we can actually have visibility of things that ClearPass cannot see. For example, is there any application that is running on the device? Is there any blacklisted application that the company doesn't allow, which is sitting on this device? Is the phone being jailbroken or introduce security risk? So we are able to get all this information to ClearPass so that ClearPass can make a better judgment whether we should allow this device into the network or not. And last but not least, we can also gather information from the enforcement point itself. So although this is a laptop that is being issued to the employee, it's a company-issued laptop, he's connecting in the environment, company environment, he's using the right credentials, but for some reason, this person, instead of connecting from the corporate offices, he's connecting from the warehouse. So why is this person doing it at the warehouse? Is he supposed to be there? What kind of access should we give to this person when he's connecting in a location that he's not supposed to be in? So all these context information are being gathered centrally in ClearPass so that ClearPass can make a good decision on access management. So here you can see the animation, right? Through ClearPass Exchange and the API calls going through the different system, whether it's the firewall or the MDM or the Active Directory, I'm able to answer the 4 W questions, right? So who is actually connecting? What device is being connected? Where this device is connecting? And when it's trying to connect the device to the network. And after we process all this information, we are going to create a profile understanding this particular person who is accessing the network. And based on his privilege, we are going to set the security policy settings on the network from the controller and restricting access of this device to only particular resources that he should be able to reach to. But at the same time, instead of just processing this data, we also send out data to our alliances partners at different levels. So we can we update the MDM server for the particular information about this user and the device. We also updated the firewall at the perimeter level, because remember, the firewall doesn't see the user authentication. So he only sees this as a network device with an IP address. So we are going to tell him, okay, this particular device is actually this particular person from this department using his tablet or the laptop. And we log all this information at the proxy level or the gateway level as well. So all these is information that we can do with ClearPass Exchange. Now, I'll give you some scenarios how we can actually leverage all this exchange information and put it in use in a daily basis. So imagine this one is an interesting one. So I don't know if in Korea it has been accustomed for school to distribute iPads and tablets to students. So in Hong Kong, it's starting to be a trend. So where I came from Hong Kong, my daughter is in junior high school. So right now, her school is giving her an iPad to access the school information. Now, the student knows that the iPad is being locked down with restricted access, but they always want to try to hack into the iPad as the credentials of the teacher, because they know that's the crown jewel. Once they can get in using the teacher's credentials, they can access a lot of things, maybe the test papers, understanding, they can download their own applications that they want. So imagine what you can do when at the Wi-Fi level, when students are trying to connect as a teacher, what can you do with ClearPass? So this is a series of enforcement that you can actually do. So as soon as you sense that there's a student that is actually trying to log in as a teacher, you can actually send out instant messengers alerting the teacher himself or the IT department. You can actually send a full email with details through the API exchange of the partners and giving them details of the device who is trying to being hacked as the teacher. Also, we can log the location of the device where it's trying to connect from, which SSID, where this person is hiding. And you also flag this device as being breached. So for example, this is not his own iPad, he just picked it up. Someone left it behind. So I want to make sure this device is being locked out and quarantined. So I want to block the access of the device of the network and mark it on the database that this device is already breached. So how do we do that? Is actually through API calls with our exchange partners. So here we have a partner called Boxcar. So Boxcar is actually offers APIs that you can send instant messaging to your mobile device or SMSs. So as soon as we, at the ClearPass level, we sense that a device is trying to attempt to log in as a different person, we actually send out the alert through Boxcar right on the mobile device of the IT department or the teacher himself. So he can get an alert right away. And then the message actually says, check your email for more information. So at the same time, it triggers a second call to a partner called Email Yak. So Email Yak, through the APIs, is able to log detailed information of this particular device right on to the body of the email, saying which particular user is being attempting to log in as the teacher, and what device he is on, what type of device, what kind of OS, what is it running, and what is the MAC address. So all the detailed information are being logged as the email body at the same time. Now, that is one interesting scenario. And what about sometimes, another scenario is how we actually leverage information for understanding a person before we actually meet them. So imagine, for myself, right? Sometimes, let's say I have a job interview. Now, I know the name of the interviewer, but I know nothing about him. What do you usually do? You go online, you go to LinkedIn, punch in his name, and try to list all the information out, and try to understand now what this person's background is, what his history is like, which company he has worked for before. Maybe we have some common friends in the circle so that we can, carry a better conversation. So imagine knowing information about a person before you're meeting them, and using ClearPass Exchange, how you actually enhance that information. We actually did this at a demo before in one of the conferences. So we asked people to, this is a free guest Wi-Fi, so please connect your device and input your information. So we make the people sign in to the corporate Wi-Fi, guest Wi-Fi, and provide information of the email address through the social media account. So imagine you can also do that at the guest Wi-Fi sitting at the lobby of your corporate network. So people comes in, oh, there's free Wi-Fi, so let's log in with Facebook or Twitter. So the first thing you do, and once they log it in, actually push a message to the sponsor. Let's say you can ask on the guest portal, who are you here to see? And you punch in the email address of the sponsor. And you send an email alert or the SMS alert through the API and telling that, oh, your guest so-and-so has already arrived at the lobby. Please take a look. And imagine you actually say, okay, this is the first time I'm meeting this candidate. I have no idea who he is, what he looks like. Now maybe I should punch in his public social media profile and try to get an understanding of him. So here you see the application actually makes a notification on the mobile device with a link where he can actually goes in to his Facebook account, where he can pull out information, or an Instagram account to pull out information of this particular person. So you see the profile pictures, you see what group he's interested in, and you use this to start your conversation, right? And we actually did that again with at a conference with some of the SE. So we pull out a whole bunch of social media information of these people, and then we try to link it to all the social media account that they have, and see how the impact it makes. So you can actually make a very good conversation for people the first time you meet them, because you know more about them. Now let's move on to some examples at the enterprise level. So you said, okay, ClearPass Exchange is a cool idea, get more information at the context, but how do you actually use it in a corporate environment, in the enterprise environment? So here I want to give you an example that actually ClearPass uses Exchange to stop malicious traffic and data leakage attempts. So here's the network setup. ClearPass is right in the middle for authentication or network access, but at the same time, it is tied with API calls through the Exchange program to the firewall, MDM devices, ticketing systems, SIEMs, and the Active Directory, and so on. Now, when the person connects with the corporate device, first he is connected to a device that is being issued by the company. It already has the MDM agent installed on it. So it's connecting to the secure network just like a normal day. So as soon as he comes in, we identify this is the right person. So we said, this is the employee at the branch office. Let's give him full access. He is the right of full access. This is a developer. So he even have access to the product beta code. Let's say the next generation of product that has not been released yet. Now, this person, he wants to make some file sharing. So maybe he wants to bring work back home. He wants to easily carry information around with him on his mobile device. So he started searching the application store, the App Store, or the Google Play Store. He found this application, go share it. He said, that seems useful. Let's download a version so that I can share this with other teammates on the source code that I'm writing on. But little does he know that this particular application, although it has good rating on Google Play Store, it actually is a free software that is malicious, meaning that all the things that he shared through this application is actually making a duplication of copy of the code and put it somewhere on a server in China. So when this person starts using the application, malicious traffic is being connected to the China server, and actually at the perimeter, our alliance from the firewall, Palo Alto firewall, actually detects the malicious traffic, and it makes a blockage and a lock right at the firewall. So the firewall makes the discovery of the malicious activity from the port 80 and makes a log saying this IP address is connecting to an outside world, and we actually can visualize it right on the map, right? So the firewall offers a map allowing you to see where the malicious traffic is going into. And you say, now what do you do when you detect this kind of malicious traffic? We already gained the visibility, but we want to make sure we stop this malicious traffic. So at the firewall level, what it can do is reset the HTTP connection. That's all it can do, right? Reset the connection at both ends so the user cannot connect. But at the same time, because of the criticality, the importance of this security event, it also makes a log at the SIEM, let's say ArcSight. So ArcSight receives a call from the Palo Alto firewall saying that this particular malicious traffic is going outbound. Now, let's log it down so that I have a record of it. But at the same time, we actually integrated the syslog message from ArcSight to ClearPass, so that ClearPass is saying, OK, there's something wrong, there's an event that is going on that's highly critical. Now, I want to trigger a disconnect of this device at the network level from the wireless controller, so that it cannot use the Wi-Fi anymore. But at the same time, we want to flag this device on the ClearPass endpoint database saying that this is a problematic device. This device needs to be quarantined. It has a threat that is not resolved. Okay? So every time when this device tries to access the network again through the Wi-Fi, all it does is show this message at the captive portal. Sorry, your device is being quarantined. We are not allowing you to access the corporate network. So contact the IT administrator and we'll resolve it. We can also, through ClearPass Exchange, integrate with the MDM agent. Remember, there's a mobile iron MDM agent sitting on the device. I can actually integrate with the agent so that next time when he's connected, or I will show a message saying that, oh, your device is actually being quarantined. So instead of opening up the browser, I proactively push a message through the agent to the device itself. And this is a better user experience than just disconnect the connection at the firewall, right? So we can also send out-of-band SMS messages if we want to. So you can see this is the orchestration of ClearPass with our Exchange partners through the API calls. Not only were we able to stop the malicious traffic, but we are able to present the problem to IT department at the same time telling the users that the device is being quarantined. And we can log a lot of the detailed information at the firewall and as the SIEM as well. Now, I want to change gear and talk about another example. Now, what if there's not malicious traffic coming out, but it's the employee trying to remove the MDM agent? So let's say this person is trying to do the same thing. You know it's being monitored by the MDM agent. He's trying to remove it. So this is a tech-savvy person. He knows the technology. So he decided to go into the corporate MDM software. He looked up the profile. He finds it. He wants to remove the profile from his mobile phone. And then mobile arm MDM automatically informs the user that now you are out of compliance because my agent is not sitting on your device. Now, please reinstall the profile on your device right away. Now, the employee tries to connect to the corporate network. When he comes back, attempting to remove the MDM agent, what should he expect when he tries to access the network? A quarantine. How do we do that? It's because we were talking to the MDM server. We know this device is a corporate issue device. It should have an agent sitting on it. But the last time the agent communicated back to the MDM server was before the weekend. And now we don't see an update. We said the agent might not be there to do the enforcement. Let's quarantine this device from the network until further notice. And actually, I think, yeah. So that's the quarantine, so that it offers a link and say, reinstall the agent before I allowed you to go back to the network. So imagine what you can actually do with the mobile on this particular event. You can actually trigger a call to mobile IAM client and say, okay, and an email at the same time, and say, here's the device that is being quarantined. Now, I want to send it to the IT department, understanding the details of this particular device, the original MDM ID, what mobile device, and which user it belongs to. And then I want to proactively raise a service ticket. So I'm also using ClearPass Exchange to tell my IT department at the help desk level that something is wrong. So I'm letting the IT department to gain visibility of security events that is going on, that is happening around ClearPasses. And if you drill down to the ticket, you also see the exact information that we log at the body of the email, telling them what devices are being trying to connect and with what ID. And this is the interesting part, right? So we can actually integrate with Twilio on the audio itself and triggers an audio call. So I don't know if this works. Let me try.
This is the help desk calling. The application share it on your wired device is performing malicious activity on the network. As a precaution, your device has been quarantined until the issue can be resolved. A trouble ticket has been opened on your behalf, and you will be contacted shortly. Have a nice day.
How's that? So that's the fun part of API calls. So Twilio is an application that can make calls, voice call as SMSs. So you can actually proactively inform the user that the device is being quarantined and for what reason. So again, right, the device will be quarantined. We'll see this captive portal until they resolve it, until they resolve the threat and reinstall the MDM agent before they are allowed back onto the network. And this is the whole ecosystem of security defense. The products that are used involve the MDM, the service ticketing, the Twilio, as well as the SMS or email servers. Now let's take a look at the device detail settings, right? So I just want to quickly go through some of the settings of ClearPass Exchange. In Exchange, it's a three-piece puzzle. You need to incorporate three different things. First is the contact servers. Then is the action that is tied to the server. And the third is the enforcement that you need to make. What triggers the action? So at the configuration page, at the administration page, you always define the server, whether it's your MDM server or a third-party server like Twilio. Then you can always define the action that is being called, right? So whether it's a HTTP post message or it's embedding a message, this is the action that you need to call. But the third thing is, when do you actually make the call to trigger this? And that's when you call the the enforcement profile. So this is a detail of the call running in the script, okay, of the mobile end. But this is the profile, right? So based on some conditions that you see at the network level, I want to trigger the enforcement profile to make the action called in the contact servers. So here again is making the call for enforcement. I use the Twilio example again. So Twilio is using a HTTP call, actually. It's not API direct call, although it's called the API server. The HTTP call is being made, and it will contact the, it will make a post HTTP call to the contact server directly. And then in the message, it actually embeds the user phone number and say, I want to make a call to this particular phone number. And I want to send the SMS message through the Twilio service. That's the enforcement profile. So the question to ask is, where did I get that phone number of that person who was trying to connect? So we actually get it from the guest database. So when people logged in at the captive portal of the guest, right, they can actually input a lot of information, and we can include the phone number of the device. And we use this information to call back to the Twilio office, and say, now make the call when this happens, and that's where we get the phone number. Now, we can actually make a lot of enforcement at the different levels. The most common ones, of course, is at the firewall. So the Palo Alto example actually makes direct API calls through the Exchange program. It's not an HTTPS. So the Palo Alto firewall can get updated in both directions, right? Remember, I can send information to the firewall after authentication, telling the firewall behind this IP address who is the user and what kind of device. And at the same time, the firewall will inform me through API call what kind of malicious traffic or detected malicious traffic they see at the perimeter and inform me so that I can make certain action within ClearPass for network access. So enforcement in the past is rather simple, right? I am a radius server. I only talk to certain network devices with a radius request and response. But now imagine with ClearPass Exchange, you're actually opening up a whole avenue of HTTP clients that you can talk to. And when you think about Internet of Things, you can actually do a lot of different calls with API with things like network devices, security devices, or even some interesting Internet of Things. I'll show you an example at the end. And last but not least, we can also process the syslog that is coming in. For example, I made some detection at some other defenses on the network, and I want to parse the information back to ClearPass. And ClearPass has the capability to parse the syslog that is incoming and then use that information to make better decisions on the network. So again, what kind of information we can pass to the firewall is the user information. I'm going to skip over this a little bit as I'm running a bit short of time. And the firewall, actually different vendors of different firewalls can receive different messages from us and exchange differently. There's a comparison table. And as we trigger events, right, we can always make calls to ticket services or Twilio for SMSs or service ticket creation through the network flow. And why do we need to make calls with MDM and make connections to MDM? The reason is because MDM is very rich in information that's sitting on the device. So for example, I see this phone is jailbroken, and I want to make sure it's quarantined. So instead of trying to detect it using ClearPass, I'm going to ask the MDM server, what is the status? Is this a company-issued device? If it is company-issued, and if it is jailbroken, I want to quarantine it. But in the past, imagine you don't have ClearPass talking to MDM. What MDM can do is the agent will be able to remove the network profile and say, you are not connecting to the network. You don't have the corporate networking profile because you are out of compliance. But right now, instead of removing the agent, I want to, at the network level, I'm going to offer an added layer of defense and saying, now, before you do that, let's quarantine the person. Maybe I'll allow them to connect to the internet. I'll quarantine it to a separate network so that it can access certain information and do remediation. And then maybe fix the out of compliance issue and then allow it to come back in. Now, the other thing we can do is connect to the SIEM. So if you are familiar with things like ArcSight and Splunk, we actually offered an application in Splunk that you can connect to ClearPass. What it does is share the dashboard of ClearPasses on the Splunk itself. So it offers 5 different unique dashboards telling them what kind of devices are actually authenticating. So when is the peak time to authenticate, how many are successful, how many were not successful. We also tell you the breakdown of the devices, what kind of devices that are connecting, what is the OS, what is the family type. We also tell you across a cluster of ClearPass appliances. For example, this ClearPass can stack up to 40 appliances, right? So across the cluster, what the licensing looks like. Are you violating any licensing requirements? And the last bit is about API Explorer. So I quickly step through how does people make calls to ClearPass is through the API. And on the UI, we actually allows them to explore what APIs are out there. So first, they need to create something called a profile. So profile means which particular person can make what calls to ClearPass. So we actually restrict them. Some people are tester. They can only do a certain API calls. Maybe they can create and not delete. And some people have full access. So how do we know how to use it? You actually use the Explorer. You can actually click on the Explorer. It lists out all the modules that are sitting in the API calls of ClearPass. And if you drill down once again, it lists out the methods of the calls. So for here is the guest management calls. You can create, update, replace, and delete guests through the API call. So imagine I come into the hotel, I check into the PMS system of the hotel Opera can actually inform ClearPass this is a new guest checking into this room. So here's the room number and the last name. So create a guest based on this, and I'll use that to authenticate through the Wi-Fi area network. So this is a little bit technical about how you can create authentication authorizers in the script. So not everyone can make the call, but only the authentication script token, people who have this token at this particular time can make an API call to ClearPass. So I'll skip through these as we are running out of time. So you can actually make the call through a script as well, command line. So I want to leave you with the last 3 slides of being creative with ClearPass Exchange. So remember, we said in the enforcement profile, we can trigger a series of events. So this is one of the things we did, right? If we detect the malware going outbound to the firewall, actually we can use one of the Hue light bulb. If you have heard about Philips Hue bulb, they can actually change color. So we actually did this demo, right? When we detected the malicious traffic, we can make a red light blinking on the network and saying that, okay, there's something triggered, just like you see in the movie. There's a red alert, so it's going on. And we can also make some fun scenarios, right? So I can tie different users when they authenticate to the Wi-Fi with different profiles, the light change color. So if I put this in the office, right, I tie different users to different light color. Without looking up, right, as soon as they come in and connect to the Wi-Fi, with the change of color, I can actually detect who actually has already come into the office just by the change of light. So these are the Internet of Things you can do. The other is the Boxcar API. So one of my SE used that to monitor his son's watching TV at home. So when he turns on the Samsung TV at home, it triggers an alert and tells the father at the office that his son is accessing. So all this information, where you can get is in the websites. So if you go to the Aruba websites, you'll find information on the ClearPass data sheets telling you details of what are our partners in the ecosystems, what we offered. You can also go to the Airheads community, where it tells you different recipes from our ClearPass Exchange partners. So people who invented a script can share it with the community, how you can change the light bulb color of Philips Hue's light bulb. And you can also exchange your information on the community. And last but not least, you can actually get information from a technical note that is created by our technical marketing engineer, so that you can actually see how you can connect through the API with the firewalls or the MDM. So all these technical documents are actually available to the public. So that's all I have for today. I hope you get more information about how ClearPass actually enhances visibility of your network security. And hopefully, later on with Mobile Iron coming in, you understand more how we work together and offer a better security postures. And that brings to the end of my presentation. Thank you very much.